As the months passed, Earth's reaction to the alien arrival deepened, evolving in ways no one could have predicted. Governments, now working with the extraterrestrial beings, slowly began to open up about the potential benefits of this unprecedented encounter. The aliens, who had revealed themselves to be peaceful and curious, continued to share their advanced technology with humanity, advancements that were far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. But with each new gift, a sense of unease began to grow in some parts of the world. The more humanity learned, the more they realized how little they knew. Among the first breakthroughs was an energy source unlike anything Earth had ever known. The aliens' technology harnessed the power of dark matter, providing an infinite supply of energy without any environmental cost. It could solve the energy crisis, eliminate the need for fossil fuels, and combat climate change on an unprecedented scale. Governments scrambled to incorporate this new technology into their energy grids, eager to usher in a new era. Cities that were once plagued by pollution began to see cleaner air, while nations that had long relied on coal and oil felt the sting of obsolescence. But the introduction of such a revolutionary energy source raised more questions than answers. How was it possible? What were the aliens gaining from sharing this with humanity? Was this their true intention, or was there a hidden cost to this gift? Simultaneously, the field of medicine saw monumental shifts. The aliens offered to help cure diseases that had long plagued humanity, diseases that had no cure, diseases that had wiped out millions of people. People lined up for treatments that promised to eliminate cancers, genetic disorders, and even aging itself. There were stories of elderly individuals who felt their bodies rejuvenated, of children born with previously incurable conditions being healed in an instant. It was a miracle, an entire medical revolution that seemed almost too good to be true. As scientists began to work with the alien healers, they discovered technologies capable of reversing cell damage and even extending human lifespans. While many celebrated these advances, others raised concerns. Would humanity lose something essential in the process? If people could live indefinitely, would the fabric of society begin to unravel? What was the true cost of immortality? The most immediate change came in the realm of communication. The aliens shared with humanity a form of telepathy, a mental connection that allowed for instantaneous, direct communication between individuals, regardless of language or distance. At first, it was disorienting. People struggled to adapt to this new mode of interaction. Conversations were no longer confined to spoken words or written language. Thoughts were shared openly, unfiltered, and unmediated. This new form of communication made people question the very nature of privacy. Could anyone truly hide their thoughts anymore? Governments immediately moved to regulate this new technology, but there was resistance. People felt a sense of freedom in communicating without barriers, but others worried about the loss of individuality. How long would it take before everyone was connected in a way that erased personal boundaries? The political landscape, too, was transformed. With the introduction of alien technology, many governments found their power dynamics shifting. Nations that once dominated global affairs were suddenly faced with the realization that they were no longer in control of their own future. The United States, long the global superpower, found itself grappling with its newfound vulnerability. Once the undisputed leader in space exploration, they now had to share their knowledge with the aliens. And in doing so, they faced a hard truth. Earth wasn't the center of the universe anymore. The alien visitors, who were now openly interacting with countries worldwide, were neutralizing old power structures. The United Nations, which had once struggled to bring world leaders together, suddenly became the most powerful organization on Earth. But it wasn't just the political leaders who were feeling the weight of this new reality. Ordinary people across the globe were also being forced to grapple with the implications of the alien presence. While many embraced the new technologies and ideas, some remained skeptical, even fearful. In rural areas and conservative communities, there were those who believed that these extraterrestrials were far from benevolent. A growing underground movement began to form, echoing the fears of invasion and domination. They argued that humanity had no idea what the true motives of the aliens were. They questioned whether the technology they had been given was truly a gift, or if it was a slow, subtle form of control. Were the aliens manipulating humanity for their own purposes? Could humanity trust them completely? Social media became a battlefield of ideas. Memes, videos, and posts circulated, reflecting the growing divide between those who accepted the aliens' arrival with open arms and those who feared the unknown. On one side, people hailed the alien arrival as the dawn of a new age of cooperation and enlightenment, while on the other side, fearmongers warned of the dangers of depending too heavily on an outside force. Politicians were torn, as some tried to capitalize on the alien technology to secure their place in history, while others cautiously distanced themselves from the visitors, worried about the long-term consequences. Every day brought new rumors, new theories, and new reports. Some claimed the aliens were secretly monitoring Earth's population, studying us in ways we couldn't comprehend. Others whispered that the aliens had been watching humanity for millennia, waiting for the right moment to make contact. In this uncertain atmosphere, one thing became clear. Humanity had to make a choice. It was no longer a question of whether Earth was ready for the aliens. It was a question of whether humanity was ready for what the aliens could offer. The sheer scope of the changes they had introduced was overwhelming. Could human society adapt to these new advancements, or would it crumble under the weight of its own progress? Philosophers, theologians, and ethicists began to debate whether humanity could retain its identity in a world where thoughts were no longer private, where immortality could be achieved, and where technology had advanced far beyond anything anyone could have imagined. The aliens, for their part, remained patient. They offered assistance without demanding anything in return. Their leaders, communicating through direct mental channels, insisted that their only goal was peaceful coexistence. They seemed content to allow humanity to decide its own future. The alien leaders, who were nothing like humans in appearance, had no desire to rule over Earth. Instead, they emphasized that they had seen many civilizations rise and fall across the cosmos, and they believed that the strength of a species lay in its ability to choose its own path. But what path would humanity choose? Would it embrace the potential for limitless progress, or would it choose to reject the alien presence, fearful of what might lie in wait? The future remained uncertain, with every new development raising more questions than answers. One thing was clear, though: Earth would never be the same again. The aliens had arrived, and with them, they had brought an entirely new way of thinking, living, and being. Humanity's response would define the future of our species. As weeks turned into months, the questions surrounding the aliens' true intentions only deepened. The world, once full of skepticism and fear, had now started to evolve into something unrecognizable. Major cities across the globe were being transformed by the alien technology. Skyscrapers, powered by dark matter, reached higher than ever before. Public transportation systems, now using anti-gravity technology, were gliding through the air, eliminating the need for roads and drastically reducing carbon emissions. Medical facilities, equipped with alien healing devices, could perform surgeries with pinpoint precision, while mental health care was revolutionized by the aliens' telepathic techniques. People could now access memories and emotions from others, not just through words, but by directly sharing their experiences. But as Earth embraced this rapid transformation, there was a growing sense of unease, one that could not be easily ignored. Although humanity was now experiencing advancements in all sectors, the question of dependency hung in the air like a thick fog. People began to ask themselves, what happens when we no longer control our own destiny? How long before we become reliant on alien technology in ways we can't reverse? These were the fears that were starting to grow, especially in communities that had once thrived on their independence. In rural areas, where the pace of change had been slower, people gathered in small, tight-knit groups to discuss the rapidly shifting world. Some still clung to the old ways, rejecting the aliens' gifts and the massive shifts in culture. Others saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, an opening for humanity to take its place in the galactic community. Yet even among those who welcomed the alien presence, cracks began to form in the surface of optimism. The alien leadership, whose beings had long since transcended physical forms, began to engage with humanity on a much deeper level. They spoke about the long history of their species and shared stories of worlds they had visited, planets that had gone through the same growing pains that Earth was facing now. Their message was always the same. You are not alone. They spoke of galaxies that were interconnected in ways that were difficult for human minds to comprehend. There was an underlying urgency to their message. They didn't just want humanity to survive. They wanted them to thrive, to join the intergalactic community. However, with every revelation, there was an underlying pressure that humans could sense, even if they couldn't articulate it. As much as the aliens talked about peace, about joining the larger family of the cosmos, there was always this question in the back of everyone's minds. What happens if we refuse? Governments were beginning to find themselves caught in a delicate dance. While many political leaders were enthusiastic about the promises of intergalactic cooperation, others began to voice caution. The United Nations, a body that had previously been a symbol of world unity, was now becoming an arena of division. Some countries insisted that humanity had the right to choose its path without interference. These countries, who had been reluctant to embrace the aliens' full offerings, argued that Earth's sovereignty was at stake. The more the alien technology permeated Earth, the more fragile the balance of power became. Could humanity truly govern itself when the aliens had brought such powerful tools to the table? In response, the aliens assured humanity that they had no interest in taking control. They had seen countless civilizations throughout the galaxy, and they had learned that true strength came from the ability of species to govern themselves. However, there was something subtle in their words that suggested an underlying understanding. They weren't here to conquer. They were here to help. But in the process, they were quietly nudging humanity toward a path that might not be entirely of their choosing. The alien leadership made it clear that while Earth had the autonomy to decide its future, their guidance would always be available. As these tensions simmered beneath the surface, a group of human scientists and philosophers began to ask a profound question. What if the aliens were not simply offering us technology? What if they were offering us a blueprint for human evolution itself? This question sparked a global conversation. Were the aliens truly helping humanity, or were they subtly steering Earth toward an agenda of their own? The public began to divide over this issue. Some believed that the aliens' advancements were a sign of goodwill, an altruistic offering meant to elevate humanity to new heights. Others, however, began to voice their concerns, fearing that the aliens were subtly pushing humanity into a direction they might not fully understand. If humans embraced these advancements too eagerly, would they lose something of themselves in the process? Would they lose their sense of purpose, their creativity, or even their individuality? In an attempt to address these growing concerns, a select group of leaders, scientists, and thinkers met with the aliens in a historic summit. The location was neutral, an isolated area that the aliens had designated as a place of dialogue. The summit began with cautious optimism, but as the discussions went on, the cracks in the idealistic vision of a utopian future began to show. The aliens presented their vision, an interconnected galactic civilization where Earth could be a valued member, contributing to the collective knowledge and resources of the universe. But as they spoke, a sense of unease filled the room. Some human leaders asked pointed questions. What exactly do you gain from our cooperation? What are you truly offering, and what do you expect in return? The alien leader, a being who appeared both formless and tangible, with a consciousness that could be sensed rather than seen, responded with calm assurance. We offer knowledge, they said, but not just knowledge of technology. We offer the knowledge of self, an understanding of your place in the cosmos. We offer you the ability to transcend your current limitations. But it is up to you whether you accept it, This answer did little to ease the tension in the room. If the aliens were offering this transcendence, could humanity truly maintain its own identity? Could the people of Earth hold on to what made them unique? Or would they become part of something larger, a collective existence where individualism might fade into the background. The fear of losing the essence of what it meant to be human grew stronger by the day. Meanwhile, in the public eye, the world continued to change. Cities were becoming more connected than ever before, with people able to communicate directly through telepathy, share memories, and even experience each other's emotions. The workforce was transitioning from manual labor to intellectual and creative pursuits, powered by alien technology that could do the heavy lifting. But even in this seemingly utopian world, a small but growing resistance was forming. The movement was gaining traction, especially among those who felt that the very essence of humanity was being stripped away. They called themselves the Earth Keepers, and their message was simple. Humans must reclaim their future. They warned that while the aliens were offering gifts of technology and wisdom, humanity could not afford to lose its soul in the process. As the debate raged on, one thing became clear. The arrival of the aliens had not just changed the world. It had set humanity on a path that no one could fully predict. Would they embrace the future the aliens offered? Or would they reject it, determined to carve out their own destiny? The answer, it seemed, was still up in the air. And as the aliens continued to observe, the question remained, what will Earth choose? As time passed, humanity found itself at a crossroads. The world was forever changed, but the decision to embrace the future or reclaim its autonomy rested in the hands of its people. The aliens, watching patiently, offered no more than guidance and wisdom, leaving Earth to chart its own course. Some chose integration, others resisted, but in the end, humanity realized that the true strength lay not in technology or knowledge, but in its ability to choose. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity would decide its fate, and the universe would watch. It's a calm day on Earth, or so it seems. No one expected the sudden, overwhelming shift that would come to define the future of our planet. The first sign was a strange, flickering light in the sky, visible from every corner of the world. People looked up, confused and curious, as the light seemed to stretch and pulse, like it was trying to communicate something. News outlets, social media, and even government agencies quickly began to buzz with theories. Was it a new satellite, a military experiment, or something far beyond human comprehension? For hours, no one could say for sure. Governments scrambled to figure out what was happening. World leaders had their phones ringing off the hook, trying to gather information from experts, astronomers, and scientists. It wasn't long before satellites detected the truth. Something was coming, and it wasn't human. Governments, especially the United States and China, acted quickly. Military bases across the globe were placed on high alert. Emergency meetings were scheduled. The world's most powerful leaders gathered in secret to discuss what was coming. At first, there was panic. People began to speculate about the possibility of an invasion. Movies like Independence Day had primed the public's imagination for something catastrophic. Yet, the more data came in, the stranger the situation became. No aggressive moves were made. The craft was slowing down, approaching Earth with no signs of hostility. Meanwhile, ordinary people were left to watch the spectacle unfold, speculating wildly on social media. Some believed it was the beginning of the end of civilization, while others thought this could be the dawn of an entirely new chapter in human history. People from all walks of life began to wonder what these beings wanted. Was this peaceful contact, or were they preparing for something darker? Theories spread like wildfire, and the truth, it seemed, would remain a mystery until the moment they touched down. As the ships began to descend, they didn't land in the major cities where most of humanity lived. Instead, they hovered over rural, less populated areas. There was no sudden explosion of force, no chaotic landing. The ships just rested there, suspended, waiting. In these moments, people's imaginations ran wild. Governments quickly locked down the areas surrounding these landing sites, but a surge of curiosity swept over the world. Millions of people flocked to their televisions, to the news, to any screen they could find. They watched in silence, some with fear, others with awe. What was going on? Who were these visitors and what did they want? This was the question on everyone's lips. The first communication came, not in words, but through a signal, a pattern of light that transmitted across the globe. The message, though unclear in its specifics, was unmistakably an invitation. The aliens weren't here to fight. They were offering something, a gesture of peace, an unknown future. But what did that mean? As the message reverberated through every communication channel, governments began to debate their responses. Leaders weren't sure whether they should trust the visitors or prepare for an unseen danger. Military advisors whispered about the possibility of hostile action, while diplomats pushed for calm, hoping that cooperation was the key. In the midst of all the uncertainty, one country's reaction stood out. Germany, with its history of diplomacy and peaceful conflict resolution, quickly organized a delegation of scientists and ambassadors to approach the alien ships. The world watched as they were led into the restricted zones surrounding the landing sites. The aliens, they learned, communicated through a form of telepathy, transmitting thoughts and images directly into their minds. It was an experience unlike anything any human had ever encountered. No translator, no intermediaries. Just pure thought. The first words from the aliens were simple. Asterisk, we come in peace. Asterisk, there was no fear or hostility, just an overwhelming calmness. For a moment, the world seemed to pause, collectively holding its breath. Was it possible? Were these visitors truly peaceful? Could humanity trust them? Yet, the next question emerged. What now? The entire world, whether willing to admit it or not, was uncertain of what the next step should be. Scientists began to study the alien technology, trying to understand its origins, its purpose. But what had caught many off guard was how quickly society adapted. Governments, once fearful of alien intentions, began to realize that Earth's survival could hinge on what these extraterrestrials had to offer. Some world leaders, however, remained wary. The United States held its cards close, not wanting to relinquish too much power or influence to these unknown beings. Would they share their technology freely, or was there a hidden agenda? China, too, held back, only cautiously engaging with the aliens through controlled meetings. Meanwhile, society was changing on a smaller scale. People were no longer as afraid of the aliens. In fact, they began to embrace them, curious about the possibilities these visitors could bring. The science community exploded with new projects and theories. Could this be the beginning of a new era in human technology? Could humans become part of something far greater than they had ever imagined? Even the general public, which had been initially paralyzed by fear, slowly warmed to the idea of meeting their extraterrestrial neighbors. Cities across the world hosted public viewings of the ships, and people held debates on the future. The concept of world unity took on new meaning as countries, once divided by old borders and ideologies, now found themselves working together. Politicians who had previously clashed began to set aside their differences, hoping to capitalize on this moment for a common good. But not everyone was on board. Some groups, motivated by fear and distrust, refused to accept that the aliens were here to help. A growing underground movement began to develop, focusing on the belief that the aliens were deceivers. They feared that humanity was being manipulated, that these peaceful gestures were a cover for something more sinister. The movement, however, was quickly labeled as radical by governments. News outlets began reporting on these groups with growing frequency, trying to ease the public's concern. The media played a powerful role in shaping Earth's collective mindset. Some news outlets focused on the aliens' peaceful nature, while others warned about the unknown. Who could be trusted? What was the truth? The uncertainty surrounding these visitors remained as deep as the unknowns of the universe itself. The aliens, for their part, showed no signs of aggression. They communicated what they wanted: cooperation, knowledge exchange, and peace. But the nature of their true plans remained a question mark. As months passed, Earth's reaction became clearer. Humanity was at a crossroads. Would they trust these visitors and embrace the unknown? Or would they remain hesitant, forever questioning the true nature of the alien presence on Earth?